thanks for joining me. My name is Bree, and today we're going to be stripping this chair in order to upholster it. And so I want to take off all the decorative tacks because I'm going to try to reuse them. And so right now I'm going to take this out to my outdoor backyard workshop and we're going to start stripping it. Here's a few tools that you might need. First of all, you probably want a pair of really good cut resistant gloves. That's number one, most important. Next you need a bowl for all of your bits and bobs and finished things that you can take out of the chair. Not staples, but you know, like decorative tacks and things like that. You'll want some kind of pry bar. My Osborne staple puller is amazing, and that's my favorite tool. That's the one with the brown handle. A pair of snips, some vice grips to pull out staples, maybe a pry bar. If you have a proper staple puller tool, Osborne makes them. They're amazing. You should get one. I don't have one, but I want one. Tape measure for taking measurements of stuff, and also a Sharpie because we're going to be labeling all of the pieces that we're taking off, taking some measurements, how the previous upholster did their work, and labeling each piece so we can use them as templates. You probably also want like an oval knife just in case you need one, and anything else that you can think of that you think would help. Maybe a piece of cardboard to put beside the wood when you're pulling staples because we don't want to be nicking the wood. So I've started pulling out all these decorative tacks. It doesn't really matter where you start. You just start and eventually you'll find the end of the fabric bias tape that they've used. So just find a place and get at her. Again, I try to go from the inside where the fabric is and not push against the wood in order to pull the decorative tacks out. That's why it's good to have a good like little chisel, or again my little Osborne tool is perfect for that. Also, I do a lot of just trying to tear them out and pop them out that way because that actually keeps the decorative tacks intact without popping their heads off, because that will happen. You'll go to try to pry the tack out and the head will pop off and you'll just be left with the nail stuck in there. So there's lots of different techniques. You gotta see what works for you, but main thing is do not push against that wood because you don't want to be nicking the wood while you're pulling anything out of the chair. So always come from the fabric side whenever you're pulling staples or decorative tacks. We're just going to slow it down a little bit and take some measurements before we start pulling all the fabric off. I like to do this not only, you know, because I want to reuse the same formula that the previous upholster has used. Sometimes I don't, depending on what's going on with the foam, if I can reuse it, how big the fiber layer is going to be after the foam. Sometimes the measurements will change, but at least I have a basic idea of the spacing in the formula, and so we want to try to recreate that if we can. And it just helps and makes me feel good. So yeah, I just mark the spacing between all of the tufting buttons. I also look at what the spacing was between the decorative tacks, which was like about 1.5 inches between each tack, because I'd like to know, you know, and have that formula the same, so when I'm putting all the decorative tacks back in, then I have the spacing correct and it's all going to work out. And this fabric is, you know, it doesn't matter if we write on it, because once everything starts coming off, we want to label each piece as what it is, so when we're cutting our new fabric, we can just lay these templates on our new fabric, cut them out, and it saves a bunch of measuring for the whole chair. Just makes it easier to already have templates to work with. get to the fun part, which is pulling staples. And this chair has lots of staples, lots of different parts to it. I start with the back on this one. It's always a toss-up on where to start. And so literally, you know, the back is always a good place. Sometimes underneath is the first place. This chair doesn't really have anything except for the dust cover underneath that we'd really need to take off. So I start at the back on this one and just literally work my way around. It is super time consuming but meditative, and make sure you keep your chisel pointed away from the wood. This is where you start figuring out what your techniques you want to use to get those staples. A lot of times I want to like pop the staple up and then I want to get my vice grips and pull the staples out. Sometimes I can use my Osborne tool and do both those techniques in one step, depending on what kind of staples, how embedded they are in the chair. It's different. Because these staples are so close together, it'd be nice for me to be able to wedge my tool in between the staples so I can just kind of rip the fabric out. And on some parts I do that, and if I can rip them out with the staples as well, fabric and staples, like everything together, I'll try to do that. It takes a little bit of arm strength and pulling, and you got to be careful that you're not doing any damage, but that's pretty much the easiest way to get it all off. And then you go back and do some fine tuning, get all those staple bits out. I'm pretty thorough when I take out the staples because I don't want anything in the way, and I also don't want to poke myself. Probably a good idea to get a tetanus shot. Lots of these staples were rusty, and you'll see that a lot in chairs. Sometimes there's nails sticking out and stuff like that, so you just want to make sure you protect yourself. Those gloves are #1 priority. Hi guys, we are upholstering a chair. Right now I'm stripping it and just wanted to get a sweet action shot, so we'll go figure out where the chair is and keep going on it. I got part of it done. Whoa, my sweet Bodycam shot isn't working out as nice as I wanted it to. But I'm still learning how to use my GoPro. And I think trying to do these projects with the Bodycam is a little crazy. But you get the idea. We're still pulling material. Try to keep the foam in one piece and don't stick your tool through the whole piece because we can reuse that. Oh, this is much better. Now we're on to the final big piece here, last push. We want to cut all those buttons off now. We don't need to keep those on there because we want to get all the fabric off. And I found that just popping up all the staples first and then coming back and prying them all out seems to be a little bit of a quicker go, especially for some of those hard to reach places. They have hydraulic tables that are pretty sweet where you can just move the table up and down and there goes your chair with it instead of having to like stand on things and climb around. But keeps you fit, so just do it, just get it done. And yay, we got it done. So now we're just on the last piece, and they've put so many staples in these pieces it gets a little monotonous. So word of advice, don't put your staples too close together. Leave at least a 1/4 inch between each staple so that the next upholsterer can get their tool in there to be able to pull the fabric off. Because if I can get my tool in there, then I can get a grip on it, and then I don't have to individually pull each staple. It makes it way more easier, and it's just a nice thing to do. yeah, that's it. Now we just fine tune and get all those extra staples out. Okay, so I've stripped everything that I want to strip off this chair. I removed pretty much all the staples because I like to have it really clear in order for me to then put new fabric on. I don't want any half staples poking out and stuff like that, so I do a pretty good job of removing all the staples. This stuff I'm going to leave on because it's reusable. It's still in good condition, and I'll be covering it with a little bit of batting and then applying the next layer of upholstery. So we're going to be ready to go for that. The first thing I'm going to do is the outside back because that has to go on first, and I'm going to do that from the inside so that you can see it on the outside. So my next video will be starting with upholstering the chair, and yep, this is what it looks like when it's done. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for watching my video and hanging out with me during this process. Up next is how to upholster an exposed back chair. So we're going to take this chair that we stripped and start applying the upholstery on it. So if you want to watch my process and see how I do that, then stick with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my video. Any comments, questions, let me know. Yep, and again, thanks so much for hanging out with me.